Good day, folks. Welcome to Ams's Life. This is going to be the second video of the Is Alabama a Good State for Black People to Live? Now, one thing which I've learned while living here in Alabama myself is, and you know, for those of you that are just now watching me, let me give you a quick background about myself in terms of where I'm from. I grew up in Elyria, Ohio, which is a half hour west of Cleveland, Ohio, which is located in northeast Ohio, the Midwest. I left Ohio. I lived in Louisville, Kentucky for a little under 2 years. Then I moved down to Tennessee and I lived in Tennessee and I lived in a few cities in Tennessee. But I lived in the state of Tennessee for 5 years. Then I left Tennessee, moved back to Ohio. I moved to Toledo, which was the worst move I ever made because that city sucks. And then when I left Toledo, because at the time I moved to Toledo, the I moved to Toledo during the last recession, which was I moved to Toledo in late 2009, and I left Toledo in well, it was in the late summer of 2010 when I chose to leave Toledo. I would say one of the best decisions I made because that city sucks. And I moved over to Indiana, and I've lived in Indiana for I lived in Indiana for I lived in Indiana for about 12 years, and I lived in a few. I lived in several cities in the state of Indiana, and I left Indiana, came down here to Alabama, and after being here in Alabama for I want to say about a couple of years, I temporarily left Alabama, moved back to Indiana for 7 months, and then I came back here to Alabama after that time. I've been back here in Alabama since April. So that's just a brief history about places where I resided. So, is Alabama a good place for black people to live? This is going to be the second video of that series. And on this video, I'm going to be talking about the job market for people that are blue collar / lower skilled workers. So if you're wanting to move here to Alabama, I would say the the best thing that you can do for yourself before moving here to Alabama in concerns to the job market is learn a skill. Learn some type of a trade. Like, if for whatever reason you're not going to go to school and earn the right type of degree, such as a degree in nursing, learn a trade. Like, some of the trades that do well here in Alabama is you can earn you a CDL. You could learn some type of trade like electrician work, plumbing work, building, air conditioning and heat, auto mechanics. I would say damn near any trade that you can think of. If you learn any of those trades and then you choose to come here to Alabama, you will get a job. And some of those jobs do pay decently. And if you have a if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you can take the skills that you've acquired from that trade, slash the experience that you may have acquired from working your 9 to 5. And you can start your own business. And provided that you know how to market your business and you gain some connections, you will get business. You can make good money and you will stay busy. Like this house I'm living in right now. The people that I've hired to come in here and do some of the renovations for me, as well as the people that I hired to come in here and do my plumbing, because I got all new plumbing in this house. Those people were new. I mean, the business was new. I mean, I didn't know anybody in this area, and I really did not want to sit around and spend the next 6+ months renovating this house. I wanted to hurry up, get this house put together, get myself moved in, and get my other house sold and go on with my life. I didn't want to be tankering around with home renovations. So this time around, I decided to hire people to do the majority of the hard work for me. And the people who I hired, they were timely, and I felt the prices that they charged were reasonable, and I felt they did a good job. And the company and the companies who I hired, it's a newer company. I mean, the companies have, I mean, one company I hired, they've been around for, I want to say 3 years. The other company I hired, they've only been around for 4 years. So both of these companies have been around for less than 5 years. So if you move here to Alabama and you come here to Alabama with some kind of a trade, like the trades I discussed just now, you will do good in Alabama. You will make good money here in Alabama. And you will stay busy. Guaranteed. If you want to stay busy, you will stay busy. If you want to make that money and run that bag up, you can and you will. I mean, a lot of times when people talk about Alabama, oh, poor Alabama, people here don't make no money, people here are broke. And yes, Alabama does have an issue with poverty. Yes, you got a lot of people living here that are living in squalor. All that is very true. However, you got people living in squalor in other states. And honestly, here in Alabama, if you come down here and you apply yourself, you will not live in squalor. I mean, housing here compared to most of the country is still relatively cheap. So, you come down here and you apply yourself, you will not live in squalor. That's all I can tell you. So I would say if you're moving here to Alabama, like I said, I can't emphasize this enough. Learn some type of trade. Or go to school and earn a degree. Earn a degree like in the medical field or in financing or something like that. And when it comes to the job market, the largest economy in the state of Alabama is going to be North Alabama. Now, in my humble opinion, like I said, if you come here to Alabama and you have some and you learn a trade, I would say you can move just about anywhere in Alabama and do well for yourself. Now, North Alabama does have a larger economy than the rest of Alabama. And to be more specific, I would say anywhere in far North Alabama, the economy is going to be the largest because if you go North Central Alabama, then you'll be within an hour proximity to Huntsville. If you go to Northeast Alabama, you won't be too far from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Now, Northwest Alabama, and well, their economy, I mean, it might be. It's not gonna be quite as big because in Northwest Alabama you don't have any major metro areas. I mean, you got the Muscle Shoals area, which basically consists of Muscle Shoals, Florence, uh, and Sheffield, and there's some other city that I can't even pronounce the name of right now. But their economy out there, it's all right. It's okay. And it's also the most expensive region of Alabama to reside. So I would say for people that want to live in North Alabama, like I said, if you have the right type of degree or you have a trade under your belt and you want to live in North Alabama, you should be okay. Now, if you move to Alabama and you don't have any type of specialized training in anything, you don't have any type of trade, I would say your best bet would be to either look at an area located within an hour of Birmingham, which is considered north central Alabama, or somewhere within an hour of Montgomery, which is considered central Alabama, or within an hour of Mobile, which is southwest Alabama. Or if you don't want to live in Montgomery, you can always look somewhere in south central Alabama, which depending on where in south central Alabama you live, just find a place to where you're within an hour of Montgomery. Because another thing I learned about Alabama is, especially if you don't have any specialized skills, is if you get too far away from the metro, like if you get over an hour away from the metro, that's when things economically for you can get a little dicey. Now, I've discussed some of this over the summer. Back over the summer when I was out here looking for work, I was having trouble finding work. I made several videos talking about this type of stuff. So if you want to go back on this channel to, I would say, the month of July and maybe early August, I talk about this stuff a little bit. But anyways, so if you're moving to Alabama and you don't have a trade, you don't have any specific skills, maybe you got some experience, however, working at a factory. Or, you're just willing to do whatever job you can get your hands on because you need some money to pay the bills or whatever the case might be. I would say in that case, like I said, if I were you, I would not move to North Alabama because the jobs that will be available to you, for the most part, will probably not pay you enough to be able to live decently in North Alabama. Some of them will, but many of them won't. So I would say if you're in that type of a situation to where you don't have any special skills, you're just looking for work just because you gotta pay some bills. Like I said, stay within an hour of the metro, and the metros that you want to focus on will be Birmingham, Montgomery, or Mobile. Now, out of the three that I just named, the largest economy is going to be the greater Birmingham area. Because the greater Birmingham area is going to have way more suburbs compared to the rest of Alabama. Like, for those of you that don't know a lot about Alabama, you don't know a lot about the greater Birmingham area, economically speaking. Birmingham, some people who are familiar with Birmingham will call Birmingham the Pittsburgh of the South because a lot of the history of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Birmingham, Alabama also has that same history. The greater Birmingham, Alabama area used to be a major industrial hub of the South. Like a lot of the people that were unable to get on with the factories up north Many of your factories up north all had unions, and back in the day, the union was meant to keep black employees was meant to keep black people from getting jobs up north. So a lot of the blacks that left the south went up north to try to find work and couldn't find work up north. Many of them came here to Alabama, and they were able to find work in Birmingham. They were able to find work in the greater Birmingham area because many of the factories in Birmingham were non-union. In Birmingham, the greater Birmingham area was one of the first metros in the United States that hired black employees to work their factories. So when it comes to the history of black employees having an opportunity at industrial work, the greater Birmingham, Alabama area plays a very important role in that. So to this day, Birmingham, Alabama, the greater Birmingham, Alabama area next to the greater Huntsville area has the largest economy. And then next to the greater Birmingham area, I want to say the next largest economy is going to be Montgomery. And then after that would be Mobile. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think Montgomery and Mobile might be at a tie. Because one thing about Mobile to me, you're going to have a little more of the hospitality type of jobs just because Mobile being where it's located is located by the by the Gulf. You know, you're right by Florida, you're right by the Mississippi Gulf. So I don't know. I think economically, Montgomery and Mobile, the economy might be about the same. I'm guessing. Now, for those of you that are familiar with the economy in Montgomery and in Mobile, drop a comment below. Which economy do you think is larger, Greater Montgomery, or Mobile? So yeah, I would say if you're looking for a job and you don't got no specialized skills, you might want to check out, like I said, Birmingham, Montgomery, or Mobile. Birmingham being the largest of the three economically speaking, because it's also the largest metro of the three. I mean, in fact, the greater Birmingham area is the largest metro in the entire state of Alabama, at least right now. Now, for those of you that are looking at moving to Southeast Alabama, because I know there's a lot of you that want to live in Alabama, and maybe you're looking at living in, let's say, Enterprise or Dothan because of the military or something of that nature. Or some of you might go to college in Troy. You might go to Troy University. So maybe upon graduation, you might want to stay in Troy. Or you're looking at living in Troy for other reasons outside of education. Now, I would say when it comes to the job market in Troy, depending on what line of work you do, Troy, it's okay. I mean, I would say for a smaller city, Troy's economy is not bad. Like if you do production work, there's a few companies in Troy if you do production. And again, if you do production work or hospitality type of work, there are opportunities in Troy. Now the pay is not going to be all that high, but the jobs will be there. Now, as far as it goes for Southeast Alabama, like Enterprise, Dothan, Ozark, I will say one thing. If you're looking at living in that region of Alabama and you don't have any specialized skills, you don't know nobody, you have no connections, I would actually advise you against living in Southeast Alabama because the economy in Dothan sucks. I'm going to tell you straight up. The economy in Dothan sucks. I mean, even people that grew up in that region of Alabama are crying about not being able to find work in there. And if you do find a job in Southeast Alabama, the pay is going to be pissed low. Like you might get a job making 11 or 12 bucks an hour. There's companies out there that pay as low as 9 bucks an hour. Yes, you heard me right, 9 bucks an hour. So Southeast Alabama's economy is one of the smallest economies in the state of Alabama. It's one of the smallest and worst economies in the state of Alabama, with the lowest paying jobs, the least amount of opportunities. Economically, Southeast Alabama sucks. I mean, to me, Southeast Alabama is a part of Alabama where you would live if A, you had some connections with people in high places, or B, maybe you really, maybe you're retired and you're collecting a pension and you don't really need a job. Or you work online, like, you making money online, so the local economy doesn't really matter. Those are the people that I would suggest live in Southeast Alabama if that's where you want to live. But if you're the kind of person that you need a job, you got bills to pay, you got to get to work, you have no special skills, you have no degree, I would highly suggest to you to not move to Southeast Alabama. Stay away from Southeast Alabama because this don't do it. And like I was saying before, if you get too far away from the metro, and when I say too far away from the metro, I'm talking over an hour from the metro. If you get over an hour from any metro in Alabama, again, the job market is going to get more challenging. It's going to get more competitive. The pay is going to get lower. And you could be sitting around without a job for a substantial amount of time. You could be attending a bunch of job interviews, answering a bunch of dumb bullshit questions, and still not get a job. And if you get a job, the pay will most likely be low, and you'll probably have to work with some people that are super ignorant. It'll kind of be like you done went from being an adult to now you're back in high school. So, and that's one thing I've encountered during my stay in Alabama. Whenever I get a job that's within an hour of a major city, typically the pay is better, the work environment is better, and the people who I work with are better. Whenever I had a job that was further than an hour from the metro, the pay was lower. The people who I worked with also sucked. That's been my experience during my stay here in Alabama so far. And let me think here. So I've covered North Alabama. I've covered. Let's see. But yeah, that's all I can think about. That's all I can think about. So yeah, if you're gonna move here, if you're gonna move here to Alabama, preferably come here with either a trade or the right type of college degree, or if you already work online and you got that established, come down here with that. Or if you're coming down here for retirement, that's cool. If you're coming down here without any skills, without a degree, you're not retired, you're not working online, then like I said, wherever you choose to live, either live in the city proper or live somewhere within an hour of any major metro area. So if you have no skills, if I were you, I would skip North Alabama because that part of Alabama, the cost of living will be a little bit more expensive. Check out anywhere within an hour of Birmingham, Montgomery, or Mobile. And that's all I got for this one. So hopefully I helped out some of you guys, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Stay blessed.